All right, everybody, we got 7:01. Let's call this meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public comment. First off, we have a presentation from Dave Meager on the village's insurance policy. It's my favorite time of year, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There's another time.
Thank you, sir.
Back over for whoever's not here. Okay. Thank you for taking me first. I've attended a lot of years, over the years. But tonight we review the part of the village insurance that is the non-fire department. So fire department comes up there in a group plan, and I just heard today that the dividend on that group plan for the fire department will be 15% for the second year in a row. So in a period of inflation, it's always good to get money back. But this is the non-fire department part of the policy. So I didn't stop me any place. Page 2 is just how you reach us. Page 3 and page 4 are the buildings, and top of page 4, the buildings and the contents owned by the village except the firehouse. And it's written on a replacement cost basis, and it's written on a blanket basis. So that means they add up the total, and they increased it by 2.7%, which seems somewhat modest in this day and age. So the total, when you add up all the buildings and contents, I mean, you know, the auditorium and the highway garage and this building, of course, total comes to 3.6 million. So the way it would work if there was a fire or windstorm claim of that nature, you're not limited on this building to the 1 million that you see there. You can always access the blanket limit. So really you've got 3.6 for any one claim involving those buildings. $1,000.
Mind if I ask you a question?
Mr.
Mr. Meager?
Yes, Tom.
For the auditorium, we have an amount for the building, and then we have $107,000 for the business personal property.
Right. Business personal property is
I'm wondering
contents.
about the Oregon.
That would be considered part of the building.
Okay,
It's just like, because it's permanently attached, just like the furniture.
It's a fixture.
Yeah.
okay.
But last year, remember, at this meeting, the board wanted to increase the amount of the contents by 80,000, and we did. So, but it's a good question. Business personal property, that's insurance jargon for contents. Okay. So then we have general liability over on page 4, general liability. General liability basically slips and falls. Anybody who gets hurt on village property can, of course, sue. And it could be coming into this building. It could be on the Dominic Pasquarello Field. And there would be, it looks like $1 million limit, but you have a $3 million umbrella. So that means you've got 4 million. We'll get to the umbrella later. I'm pretty sure that's 3. Yeah, that's 3 million. So you got 4 million for any general liability claim. The other area of general liability claims are accidents which took place on village streets. And another aspect of a general liability claim would be if the water, if somebody claimed they got sick from the water. So that's all under that title of general liability. Now, this year, I wanted to do something a little different. You've had 50,000, if you look at the bottom of, it's called data compromise, it's called cyber liability and data breach. That was 50,000 last year. And with what's all going on in the cyber arena, for a few $100s, I could raise that up to 200,000 and get some ransom coverage. Ransom is the most likely thing to happen to a municipality. And probably everybody in the room knows that ransom is when the bad guy hacks in and locks up your computer system and then demands money, usually in some kind of exotic currency like Bitcoin. And so I couldn't get a lot of ransom coverage. So that limit you'll see there is only 20,000, but at least it's something. It's more than you have now. And if you were to try to get a full-blown cyber policy, you know, we're talking thousands of dollars. So this seemed like a good compromise to, because if private information on your computer is hacked, under state law, you have to notify the people in writing. You have to provide them credit counseling. You actually want to have some money to ask your IT person, how did this happen? So that is a little bit more than it was last year, but I think a smart thing to do in the cyber environment that we find ourselves. There are people whose job it is, by the way, to spend their whole day trying to hack in. And you've all seen on TV or in the newspaper, the Pentagon gets hacked. There's almost no target that isn't and I'm going to use the word target again, but basically the hackers are out there. They're trying to get into our business. They're trying to get into banks. They're basically any business, and the size of the business really doesn't matter. And I saw a statistic that 50% of ransom cases 2 years ago were against municipalities. And when you think about it, well, why is that? Well, municipalities, number one, they've got information. Number two, they have the ability to raise money. They may not have a lot of money, but they have the ability to raise money. So that is a little bit different from last year. And over on page 5, the auto policy. Again, it's it looks like $1 million, but you got that $3 million umbrella, so you really got $4 million for any one auto accident. The way to understand this page without taking a lot of time is look at the right-hand column of the chart. One is comprehensive, the other is collision. I think we know what those coverages are. Those are the deductibles there. The ones with an asterisk are covered. We'll go on to the next page, where we list backhoes and loaders and yeah, I think dump trucks. I'm looking for there's a dump truck on here.
There is
a dump truck that was
2011 International in the middle, 173.
Yeah. So you'll see there those items are covered for those amounts listed. Oh yeah, I see the 2011 dump truck. Now they are replacement costs on items 10 years old or newer. If they're older than 10 years, then you would be paid on a depreciated value basis. So you might want to look at that 2011 because that is more than 10 years old, and you might be able to adjust that downward. So, and if you did, of course, there would be a reduction in premium. Then the umbrella I mentioned several times. That's giving you the. Page 7 is the public officials policy. That's the one that protects all elected and appointed officials for acts arising out of their official duties. Also covers sexual harassment, violation of civil rights, wrongful dismissal, discrimination in hiring, planning and zoning. All of those kind of cases come in under the public officials policy. And then in the middle of the page is a bond, which protects the village from misappropriation of money by anyone entrusted with the money. Again, that's on a blanket basis. 200,000 is the limit. The bottom of the page, your workers' comp is, of course, through the county self-insurance plan. The disability is through us, and you have twice the statutory benefit there. So then over on page 8 is the premium, and last year it wasn't up, as I recall. This year is up a couple $1,000s. I don't like to see that. Part of it is the company did raise the amount on all your buildings by 2.7%. Part of it is you have a vehicle that you didn't have last year. And part of it is just inflation. It's no secret that inflation and insurance are connected in the sense that, say, if there's a claim here to this building or any of your properties, it's going to cost more to fix it than it used to cost to fix it. If you can find the materials, if you can find the contractor, so forth. So premium is up a little bit.
Susan, just a second.
Yeah,
This, it looks like the bill, and it's just slightly off of this. It's not what is in here. I don't know which. 28,129.53. This is 119.53. I don't know who's this.
Well, the crime policy, I think we should pay separate.
what difference is there, Heidi? 20, 20,
28, $10.
$10.
If this is what we're talking about, this is this year.
Okay, I do
There are
remember
invoices
now, but
attached to it.
the person- I think the person who handled the account called me and said that there was a $10 that in putting this together, there was a $10 error. So
So we owe you guys
unfortunately, the
10,
bill is
or-
right. That's a good catch. You're doing your job.
$10.
So we owe you guys $10? Is that the discrepancy? We owe you 10?
This is $10 less than the bill we've
Less than
received.
that, okay,
So I think that means we're good.
yeah, so
So the bill is right. This is wrong by $10. And then the last page, I'd just like to mention that part of what we do is not just insurance and provide you insurance policy. We try to do the best we can to get you the most coverage for the lowest premium. But I spend a lot of time, as Kim and Jessica will tell you, on risk transfer, and Tom as well. Anytime we can transfer the risk, we try to do it. So when you had the markets at Round Lake event, there were a lot of vendors. And I think we all worked sort of together. And I worked with, is it Sarah Rhoda? I never met her, but I feel like she's like a long lost friend. We emailed virtually every day because she'd send me a certificate from one of the vendors, and I would look at it and say it was either correct or was not correct. And we were looking for that certificate to protect the village. And so the risk would be transferred. So if something happened, we would still defend if somebody sued. But if you can transfer the risk to the wrongful party, you always try to do that. So I spent a lot of time on that particular issue, and if there's any other, Kim and I have talked about people who use the auditorium, and again, how to protect the village, and particularly how to protect the village if alcohol is involved. So we've done all those things, and we spend a lot of time on that, because any claim that we can prevent from going on your insurance does help with the premium. So that's a quick review. I think you're insured with Selective. They've got a special program for municipalities. Any questions? I go too quickly? Yeah,
Tom?
Yeah, just one question, Dave, and maybe Tom Peterson too. From the long past, I remember something called prior notice.
Yes,
Does that still apply? That rule still
Yes.
apply?
yes. Yeah, Tom, I don't know if you want to comment on it, but I mean, I'll give you my 2 cents, and if I say it wrong, Tom will correct me. But basically, say if somebody had an accident on a village street or hit a pothole and off the road, under the law, that person, in order to collect, has to notify the village first and give the village a chance to correct the situation before they can collect. So that is still in effect.
The state legislature allows us to enact such a law, and we have, it's chapter 154, section 1.
So if you run off the road, if you hit the pothole, run off the road, wreck your car, it's on you. But if you gave the village notice that there was a pothole there, and with adequate time to repair that pothole, and then you hit the pothole, ran off the road, the village would be
Right. And it wouldn't necessarily have to be a pothole. I think it could be a defect in your ball field.
Mhm.
Right, Tom? It's not necessarily a.
I just didn't know if the
Snow and
rule
ice.
was still on the books.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was designed a long time ago by the state
Yeah.
legislature. Oddly enough, as I understand it, the state adopted that law as far as villages were concerned to help protect villages. Towns have to actually adopt their own prior notice law. But the state wanted to help the villages, and so my understanding is they adopted a law that applied to all villages without you having to take any action.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right,
Thank you.
thanks,
very
Dave.
much.
Thank you.
And good to see you again. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
I was discussing before the meeting started, I have a lot of fond memories. This used to be the drugstore. And the counter was about here, and I spent quite a bit of time in the drugstore as a person who liked milkshakes. And then there was sort of a gift aspect of it over there, and there were booths here for people to sit. And I don't know if your village historian is here or not, but I'd like some time to talk to the village historian. I could tell you a lot of stories. And there was a jukebox in here, and it would play rather loudly. So the postmaster, it drove the postmaster crazy. And there was particularly, I remember, then I'll leave on this note. There was particularly one song. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember Spike Jones and the City Slickers. You young people can Google them. But it was Spike Jones and the City Slickers. It had a pretty offensive, not offensive in any sense of the word. It would just be a song you wouldn't want to hear more than once. And if you Google it, it was called Beetle Bomb, and it was a fake horse race. And it drove the postmaster right off the wall. And I think he prevailed on whoever was in charge of the drugstore at that point to take beetle balm off the jukebox. And that's a historical comment.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Good to see you all.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other public comments? Nope, okay. We'll go to reports. First up, Superintendent Kim, I think you have that report tonight.
Just a couple of notes from John. The guys have been spending the last couple of weeks cleaning up the parks, getting the trucks ready and prepped for winter. He did say that paving will happen on the north end, slated for next week.
Okay.
So that's Burlington from George to Goldfoot, Clark, Kavanaugh, Saratoga, end to end. I think that's Barn Alley, Kavanaugh connected, yes.
Can I ask a question? Are they gonna keep in the width of the road or are they gonna be making it wider?
I don't know. I have to find out.
I don't have anything official for you, but I remember talking to John about our study, and he said, no, there was gonna be the same width. I assume that probably applies to you guys.
I have one more question. Maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't. Regarding the new drains that are put in, are they gonna keep that earth or are they gonna be paving around that? Do you know?
I don't know.
That's a question for John. Yeah.
Okay.
We can get that answer. Is that it, Kim?
That was it.
All right, Treasurer, Jess.
So I emailed the monthly financial report, and I also emailed what printed as well, an update on all of the reserves that we have. So you guys can take a look at that whenever and let me know if you have questions.
Is that as of what?
As of, well, you can see where 2020 or 21-22 closes out. You
Oh.
can see the balance and then,
Yes, okay.
and
I'm
then it
sorry.
goes beyond up through September
Okay.
for most of them.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that. Let's see, I just actually today received my notary license in the mail, so I just have to get a stamp. So then I'll be able to notarize. And don't need any resolutions. The abstract resolution looks a little bit different than normal. For NICOM, they want us to break it out into funds. So that's the only difference. But other than that, that's it for me.
So in the resolution, it's required to have those three funds
Yeah.
specified. Okay, great. All right, thanks, Jess. Next, Fire Chief's report.
Everybody, I'm Cameron, the first assistant chief. On vacation at town. Report for September, a total of 54 alarms. Still keeps us on track to see what we did last year. I think we're up to like 380-ish or so now. And for the Halloween detail, we do have a couple trucks slated to come down for the trick or treating here in the village. And then we'll be escorting Santa around the area on December 17th. And as usual, you can get updates for that on our Facebook page.
Awesome.
I don't have anything else.
All right.
Questions?
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, code enforcement, Peter's not here tonight? No, okay, nothing from him. Parking, no. Auditorium, Sharon.
Well, Monday, October 31st will be the last day of the auditorium 2022 season. The last meeting, the two requests that the board waived the fees for took place. Danielle Coleman did a photo shoot for a vintage clothing company, and the community celebrated the life of Linda Connors. Also around like residents, Jeff Gannon and Aaron Mason celebrated their wedding in the auditorium on a lovely October day. The Hudson Valley Walkers also used the auditorium as a gathering spot for a village walking tour given by Scott Gooding. John Fuller was kind enough to play the organ for the group. There's a movie this Friday, one for children and one for everyone else, and the haunted house and the Halloween celebration. I'd like to personally thank Dan Pesca for his dedication to the auditorium and his hard work to make every event enjoyable. I'd also like to thank both Phyllis Wildberger and Jackie Morrell for keeping the auditorium clean during the course of the season. As we know, no easy task. I've spent time reviewing procedures, looked into new print and online marketing opportunities, started connecting with people for the 2023 season, and would like to move forward. It's been a pleasure in planning and implementing the 22 season. The profit and the dollars remaining in the budget at this time is $19,035.48. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
All right, AP3, Lydia.
I wasn't actually here this time for the meeting, but I understand we had fans. in the way.
Yes.
And Scott was there, maybe he wants to say anything in general.
Yeah, we have invoiced out for we were having a problem with, I know the village couldn't spend over $3,000 without having three bids put out. So to alleviate that, what we did was we split it up. We split 2 invoices between AP3 and the village, so the village would be under 3,000.
Mhm.
So they basically are sending 2 invoices out. I know the village is already processing one.
Yeah.
And AP3 will be processing the other one. So they should be ordered and on their way soon, so we'll have a winter to put them in.
Excellent.
What kind of fans are these?
They're oscillating fans, are very quiet.
Are they those big things?
No, they're probably this big.
Yeah.
But we've ordered 8 of them, so they'll be spread on both sides and oscillating. We did order one and try one out. We had board members come
Good, cool.
and listen to them, so they're a nice fan. Then, if I think it'll help.
I think they're very aesthetically pleasing to the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, they're in
It's
a
nice.
bronze, like antique bronze, so they look really nice too. So,
When do they anticipate arrival?
what's that?
When do we think we'll get them?
I have no idea until we order, but I don't think it'll take long, because they're gonna be FedExed out, so I would imagine whenever we get the order in and the invoice is met, it'd probably be a week. So
So we're gonna put them in this year or next year?
we're gonna put them in over the weekend.
Thank you, guys. And clerk's report, Kim.
Well, we finished up collecting property tax review and we levied 23 accounts to the county treasurer. We have 2 weeks left on the June water and sewer bill collection. We'll start reading again in mid-November. We have posted a job opportunity for a full-time public works crew member. If anybody knows anybody, have them reach out. We've received 2 applications so far, and the applications are open until November 1st, approximately. I have created new policies for you guys to review. One of them is a breach policy that Dave was talking about. We need to have that. That's one of the 6 that we're required to have for just what Dave was talking about with cybersecurity, as well as workplace violence. So I made those today. Tom, you have me. You're going to have a quick review, and then we're going to give what we did last year when I sent everybody like 2 policies to review.
Yeah.
I will do the same so we can get those moving along. The streetlight replacement on Parallel High has been moved to priority and should be worked on ASAP. The abandoned car at the basketball court has finally been removed under threat of ticket and court appearance.
Oh, great.
The Halloween preparations for the haunted house and the costume contest are underway. And we're requesting to close Wesley Ave and the streets leading up to the auditorium for the evening. I don't know if we want to do a resolution or just a blessing of the board.
Blessing.
Okay with that?
Yeah.
And yes, there's a voucher for the fence and the abstract, so we'll get that payment out. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Kim. All right, moving on to old business, short-term rentals. So this is specifically related to 11 Ames Ave. I know there was discussion at the last board meeting regarding extending the temporary certificate of occupancy. We had some discussion around it, and we need a resolution tonight to extend, should we decide to extend their certificate of occupancy for an additional 18 months. So there is a resolution that was drawn up, And I'll read it out. Whereas Capital Ventures LLC has reached the end of their 18-month temporary certificate of occupancy for 11 Ames Ave. And whereas the Round Lake Village Board of Trustees and Code Enforcement Officer have reviewed their request, therefore be it resolved that the Round Lake Village Board of Trustees, in consideration of the investment made by the applicant, agrees to permit the Code Enforcement Officer to extend the temporary certificate of occupancy by an additional 18 months and advises the owner that any additional relief must be obtained from the Village Zoning Board of Appeals.
So moved.
Any discussion on that?
Just to clarify, so when the 18 months expires, they will have to go to the ZBA.
If they want to continue the
If they
current
want to
situation,
continue.
yes.
Move to vote.
Think so?
Tom?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes. Okay, under new business, bulk waste collection. So I'd had a number of requests from people in the village, including in my own family, that as you guys all are aware, Malta discontinued their bulk pickup. Their last year that they did it was in 2019. In 2020, during the pandemic, they went to a bulk drop off so everybody could bring all their stuff to a central location and drop off, which they did again in 2022, this past May, I believe it was. The issue with that obviously is a lot of people don't have a pickup truck or they're seniors and they can't move their stuff. There was, talking to a lot of people in the village, they were disappointed when it went away. So I thought, well, what if the village does its own village-wide bulk pickup? So I reached out to both County Waste and Twin Bridges to get some information on that, to get some numbers. So because the village is so small, both companies would be able to do the bulk pickup in a single day, ideally on a Saturday. That was one of the biggest objections with residents in Malta, was that there was bulk left out on the curb for a significant amount of time. I think they had up to 10 days to collect it and things were getting messy. They estimated that the village would probably require 15 to 25 tons of bulk waste based on the number of households and based on similar municipalities and roughly what each house would potentially put out on the curb. Each house would be limited to one pickup truck's worth of material to be left out. And of course, there would be rules and regulations about what you can put at the curb and so on and so forth that they would provide. But I did get a couple of quotes. County Waste came in at a $5,000 flat rate for labor and truck, plus $100 per ton for disposal. And Twin Bridges came in at $3,200 flat rate and $115 per ton for disposal. So Twin Bridges was less expensive on the flat rate, a little bit more expenses on the tonnage. And I did a little bit of math, essentially based on the rough amount that we would potentially be hauling away. The Twin Bridges quote would be the best quote in terms of pricing. What would that roughly equate to? Somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 for the bulk pickup, which would be approximately $15 per household. So the idea that I was thinking of would be a spring pickup before the village-wide garage sale that takes place in May. Yes, or after. Yes, after. Yes, and it's something that we could do as a one-off and see how it goes, or it's something, if it goes well, we could do it every other year, similar to how Malta did it. Probably would be best. And again, I don't know, an idea would be to maybe put it out to a survey to see kind of what the interest is with the village, or to try it as a one-off and see what their response is. But I thought it was a pretty reasonable amount of money considering the benefit. And a lot of people really want that service to be done at least every other year. And that's it. I don't know if you guys.
People like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a much loved service when Malta was doing it, and it was just a lot of people were disappointed. So We
Are you
can,
looking for a resolution?
yeah, so a couple of questions I had is, this is gonna be between $5,000 and $7,000, so is it something that, and I've gotten 2 bids, but there's only 2 waste disposal companies in this area. Is that something where I have to get additional?
Well, isn't there another one? Isn't the one that picks up Elias? I can't think of the name. There's a third. I
They
don't
got
know.
bought out by, they got bought out by Canyon Counties.
Yeah,
Oh, they did? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's Springer.
yeah. So,
I don't have our purchasing policy here. Does it require 3 if you're between
Over
5?
3,000.
yeah. But if there's only 2
Is it
companies,
different for service? I think it's higher for service. I think it's like 10.
okay,
It's a service rather than.
okay,
I could be wrong.
okay.
Can we wait to get the information?
Yeah, I think so, because this would be something that we do in the spring,
And
and
we'll see what fund we want to take it out.
yeah, and I figured I'd bring it up tonight, and you guys can percolate among yourselves and people that, you know, what the kind of response is, but just people that I've talked to, it seems like something that's
Yeah,
would be a great
it's
service.
nice.
Yeah. So that's it. We can look into that and maybe get a resolution for the next board meeting. Okay. So next is correspondence, Kim?
Nope, no correspondence.
Okay. Approval of minutes.
Well, I can't motion on the 21st because it wasn't here, but I'll make a motion on October 5. We accept the minutes.
I will second that one.
What?
Aye.
Aye.
And motion, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 21st meeting.
We may have to hold that because we can't get a
True.
votes.
Yeah, you're right.
And there was a typo. I had to remove a resolution. I did it twice.
Okay, so we'll table that one till the next time then. Very observant, Tom.
25 years.
Approval of abstracts. So I will make a motion that we approve the October abstract in the amount of $237,704.62. $234,085.56 from the A fund, $3,293.88 from the F fund, and $325.18 from the G fund.
Second.
Aye. Village attorney.
I'm wondering whether we're going to make a decision on the green light network proposal. They had asked us to enter into a contract.
Yes.
I taken a look at the contract and had no objections to the way it was written.
Okay.
And should we move on that tonight
Get a resolution to have it signed by the mayor.
to enter the draft contract that they provided to us?
Okay.
That's just based on the proposal that they had.
Yes.
And
What are we supposed to do besides say yes? Are we supposed
I
to?
think it's just some guardrails between, is that fair to say, Tom?
It permits them to operate within the village and allows them to take advantage of any utility easements that are out there. They would have to work that out with Spectrum, I guess.
Mhm.
But they said they're used to doing that and we don't have to be involved in that.
and they wouldn't be allowed to alter, remove, replace anything that, let's say, if the pole was on my property, anything other than the pole and the pole stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the contracts with Greenlight that was reviewed by the village attorney.
Second.
Yes.
Yes,
That's all I have.
okay. All right, trustees, Tina, or not Tina, Heidi?
No?
Tom?
Nothing for me.
Okay, nothing from me. Public comments? Okay. I will make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the volunteer fire department applications.
So we need a resolution. Yeah, I'm sorry, motion. Yes.
Yeah, yes, Tom second. All aye. Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Have a great evening.
I think everything.